home from the candy store, now the whole neighborhood.
Hi folks, thanks so much for coming to the Jelly Belly Factory today. We are a family-owned company operated by the 4th, 5th, and 6th generation.
Hi, I'm Bill Kelly. My cousin Herb Rowland and I are 4th generation candy makers.
I'm Herb Rowland. My cousin and I share the same great-grandfather, Gustav Rowland.
Hi, my name is Herb Rowland Jr.
Hi, I'm Ryan Rowland.
My name is Krista Rowland. I'm Lisa Rowland Brazier.
I'm Trevor Parkinson.
I'm Kayla Parkinson. I'm Becky Joffer.
I'm Annie Joffer.
I'm Justin Joffer. I'm Chris Rowland.
But it all started with Gustav Golitz. My great-great-grandfather, Gustav Golitz, came to America from Germany, and in 1869 he began his own candy-making operation. He settled in Belleville, Illinois, and he was joined by his brother Albert, who sold their candies from a horse-drawn cart. Gustav's sons then entered the business, and in 1898 they formed their own candy company. One of Gustav's sons was my great-grandfather, Herman Golitz, and he struck out west and opened his own candy company in Oakland, California. In 1959, my father, Herm Rowland, joined the business. They made mostly mellow creams at that time, like candy corn, mellow cream pumpkins. In the 1960s, they decided that they needed to diversify our product line. So around 1965, we began making jelly beans. We made jelly beans of every size, color, and shape. And those jelly beans were the precursor to Jelly Belly. In 1976, my dad received a phone call from a man named David Klein.
He said, I know you make the best bean in the world, but I want to make it better. I want you to use real ingredients.
They pumped up the flavors in the center of the bean, using ingredients like coconut flakes, coffee, orange juice. He came up with fanciful names. Instead of cherry, he called them berry cherry. Finally, and most importantly, he named them Jelly Belly jelly beans.
We purchased the Jelly Belly trademark from David Klein and Cal Lieberman in 1980.
Today, we make over 100 flavors of jelly beans.
We also make a lot of different types of candy.
Like gummy bears, malt balls, and candy corn.
The Jelly Belly brand is sold in more than 80 countries around the world. We have over 700 employees, whom we also consider family.
Here in California and at our Illinois factory, we make candy for the U.S.
Our factory in Thailand makes candy for the rest of the world. It takes 7 to 14 days to make a Jelly Belly bean.
No, really, we're serious.
Making a Jelly Belly jelly bean is not an easy process. That's why it takes so long from start to finish.
On the tour today, you're going to see the whole process, but let's go ahead and give you a preview.
We start in the kitchen by mixing up a hot liquid candy we call slurry. This will form the center of the bean. Then we add flavors and colors, and in many cases, juices and purees.
Both the center and the shell are packed with flavor. That's what makes each bean so intense.
That liquid candy gets deposited in the little jelly bean shaped molds. Once that cools and firms up overnight, the centers will move on to get their outer shell.
We create the outer soft shells by tumbling the centers in large spinning drums.
Once our Jelly Belly beans have been rested, they'll move on to polishing, and then be moved to packaging so they can get stamped with our Jelly Belly logo.
Quality is a word that a lot of people use very loosely. We use it with great emotion.
We've always attempted to make all of our candies with the highest quality ingredients and the highest quality manufacturing methods.
Generations of family tradition go into every piece of candy that we make, including your favorite candy, whether that's berry cherry, licorice, or buttered popcorn. Today, we consider you part of our family. Thanks for visiting us, and enjoy your sweet tour.
My jelly beans, and if I pass the bag when they're through, I'll be lucky if I get one or two. Jelly beans, I better hide my jelly beans.
You're embarking on your Jelly Belly factory tour. We'll get to the magic of candy making in just a little bit, but first, let's have a look at what's happening on the floor below. This entire wing is dedicated to one purpose. Welcome to the packaging department. This is actually the last stop on a Jelly Belly jelly beans journey. But today, it's your first look at some of the most mesmerizing parts of modern-day manufacturing. Here, Jelly Belly jelly beans are packed into bags and boxes on their way out of the factory into store shelves near you. Humans and machines are both hard at work here. Workers load packaging material into the machines. The material is fed through a series of rollers and formed into the shape of bags. Meanwhile, the candy has been moving through a bucket elevator to make its way up to the top of the machine. It can then fall right into awaiting bags. See how the candy drops into these metal funnels? These are called weighers, and they're very precise. The candy is weighed and dropped into newly formed bags, which are then cut and sealed around the candy almost immediately. It all happens pretty fast, so you'll have to keep your eyes open or you'll miss it. Employees work fast to hand-pack all those bags into larger cases and send them down the line to ship out to stores near you.
To choose red, yellow, green, pink, and blue. Looks
As you're
so
probably
pretty.
starting to see, the packaging department is filled with machines and the people who love them. Everyone has favorites, and shh, don't tell the others, but you're looking at a favorite right now. All those true-to-life flavors of Jelly Belly jelly beans are loaded in giant bins and lifted by forklift up to the tippy top. One of those giant containers holds about 1,700 pounds. That's as much as a couple of California grizzly bears. Those colorful Jelly Belly beans are weighed and dropped into equally colorful bags. Would you believe that this delicious-looking candy waterfall isn't even the best part of this machine? That's right, it has another trick up its sleeve. After that beautiful candy is packaged into bags, it's time for everyone's favorite part. This, my friends, is known as a spider packer, and you don't have to be a machine lover to be hypnotized by how these daddy longlegs do their job.
The first time I saw a spider packer, I went, oh my gosh, we've got to get one of those. The machine was running about 240 bags per minute, and as the bags go across the belt, there's a camera that looks at every single bag. And when the head goes down to pick up that bag, it will actually orient the bag just perfect to fit into the box.
That camera sees all. What the first two arms don't grab, the backup arm will. That's a lot to keep track of. And the spider packer doesn't miss many. It sends over 14,000 bags down the line each hour.
Home from the candy store, now the whole neighborhood's knocking at my door.
Now here's a machine that makes a lot of people happy. This machine has one job. It creates and fills up to 15 Jelly Belly gift boxes per minute. We can pack up to 50 individual Jelly Belly bean flavors in specific compartments thanks to this machine. The base of the box is folded, glued, and shaped, while a plastic tray liner is added. Each liner has compartments that the machine will fill with those individual flavors. And filling 50 flavors at a time is something that, wouldn't you know it, only Jelly Belly does. Before this step was automated, workers used to hand scoop the right amount of jelly beans into each cup. And they used to have to do it two-handed. Now we can fill 50 flavors at a time. Once the trays are filled, the box continues down the line where lids are added. Then a shrink wrap is sealed around the box using just the right amount of heat to keep everything together.
I better hide my jelly beans. So many colors for me to choose. Red, yellow, green, pink, and blue. Look so pretty, taste so good. I'd be stingy if I could, but I open the door and they all pile in.
Automation may be making things more efficient in the factory below, but it's our people who make all the difference in the world. And a department as technologically inclined as packaging is no exception. With hundreds of bags and boxes flowing out of here every minute, it takes a lot of knowledgeable people to keep it running. Jelly Belly machine operators and mechanics are constantly helping to modify, fix, and maintain these machines. And workers are busy making sure everything runs smoothly and is packaged and sent out properly. Below, you'll see a perfect example of the collaboration between the mechanical and human members of the team. Some processes are better left done by the human hand, like delicately applying plastic shrink things. Other processes are better left in machines, such as applying the piping hot steam to secure those shrink bands in place. Everything works in harmony. Send your favorite treats out the door. You may have noticed how different the machines look and function here in the packaging department. Each is specialized to handle different bags, boxes, or containers, but the one thing they all have in common is that they all work as part of an assembly line. On an assembly line, everything has to be timed just right so the flow isn't interrupted. The machine below you is a fine example of this. Packaging material is loaded in, and robot arms open and form the boxes, tucking in tabs to create the sturdy package. Next, candy is added before the box top is closed. A trip down the belt takes the newly formed boxes to a discrete scale. If the weight is off for any reason, a puff of air sends the imperfect package off the line. This machine wraps cellophane around the box with a tear tape placed for convenient opening. Edges are tucked like a birthday package, and tap repeat to seal them. Everything is moving so fast, and we can't slow down now. Workers hand-pack the 175 boxes per minute into caddies for shipping. They work fast, packing up the boxes and getting them ready to ship out. Assembly lines aren't always this well oiled. A jam, misspeed, miscalibration, or clog along the conveyor can slow or stop the flow. Workers and mechanics supervise each packaging line constantly and are there to set it right again if there's a break in the action.
Jelly Belly jelly beans are delicious and fun to eat. But did you know they can also be used to make real works of art? From afar, this looks like a regular mosaic. But here, look closer, even closer. It's actually made entirely out of jelly beans.
There's so many different flavors and colors of Jelly Belly beans that it makes for a great artist palette. Making Jelly Belly art has evolved over the years. The first Jelly Belly portrait by Peter Rocha of President Ronald Reagan took over 6 months to create. They used to dip the beans in a resin and then place them one by one with chopsticks onto the portrait.
This is Jelly Belly art. Like many processes, Jelly Belly art techniques improved over time. What once took 6 months now takes between 3 and 8 weeks, depending on the complexity of the piece. The artist starts with an underpainting to serve as a guide for color placement. The jelly beans are placed one by one on top of that painting in a mosaic pattern as close together as possible. On average, it takes artist-in-residence Kristen Cummings approximately 100 hours of work, from the start of the guide painting to finishing the piece with an edible resin to preserve and seal the beads in place. Final Jelly Belly art pieces are oversized, many approximately 5 feet by 4 feet. This is so the final image is clearly recognizable. Think of each bead as a pixel. The more detail in the image, the more pixels are needed. Depending on the technique of the artist, a final work of Jelly Belly art can use, on average, 15,000 Jelly Belly jelly beans. And if you look even closer, we've hidden treasures in several works of Jelly Belly art. Can you spot the silver bead? Or an image of Mr. Jelly Belly among all that beautiful candy?
We have a private collection of Jelly Belly art pieces that you will see on your tour today. We also tour our Jelly Belly art pieces around the world, so many people get to appreciate them. There's no limit to the imagination, and that's what I love about Jelly Belly art. Using a material like a jelly bean to create something so magnificent.
I got home from the candy store. Now the whole neighborhood's knocking at my door. Jelly beans, I better hide my jelly beans. 'Cause there's
home of Herman Golis Candy Company. Herman Golis opened that plant in 1922. My dad, Ernie Rowland, went to work for his father-in-law, probably in the 30s. And at that time, everything was by hand. You put the candy by hand in big copper kettles. You took and scooped the candy out of those copper kettles and you poured them into a string runner. It was a very, very tedious and very strenuous job to do that 10 hours a day. He decided to build a piece of equipment that simulated what the man did to fill those trays. So instead of walking along the trays and putting the candy in, he actually built a machine to pass those trays underneath a string runner, which was permanently set, and the candy ran through that into the molds, into the trays, and then the trays were stacked on trucks. It was like going to the moon back when he built that machine. It's what helped allow our company to stay in business. I started going there in the 50s. My first memories of going down to the candy factory, it's hard to remember, but what I do remember is walking in this place that smelled like vanilla and beeswax. We used to have a big stencil machine, and there was a wheel on top. And I'd spin that wheel, and I'd push down on the handle, which is what you push through to make the stencil, and it would grind the gears on the inside of the stencil machine. I got caught doing that a couple of times, and it wasn't good, but I'd still sneak back and do that. So I was, I guess, a pretty good rascal down there. Back in the 60s, there was probably 8 to 12 people in the slow season and maybe 20 people in the busy season. Our office was about 14 by 14, and there was burlap hanging on the walls. I'll never forget. There was like 4 desks in there, and they were all crammed in. I wasn't in there yet. I was on the back at work. That's how small the company was at that point. So my dad had to do everything. He did the purchasing, he did the sales, he did the hiring, he did the firing, he did the maintenance, he made candy. My dad was really an incredible guy. He worked extremely hard. That's where I learned how to work. So I went to work. And the first thing that he taught me was how to sweep a floor. I'm really proud that my dad taught me all those things. So I want to try to do that with my kids too.
Being part of a candy-making family has just been amazing. I started working in the summers of my 7th and 8th grade, and I would do chores like scrape the candy off the floor, or stencil on the names on the side of the boxes, or make boxes and tape boxes. I was able to work alongside and learn from my grandmother, Eloise Golitz, all about the finance in our company and accounts payable and accounts receivable. What's been really wonderful is as our businesses continue to grow, that it seems each one of our family members have been able to get plugged into an area that's their passion, not just a place that they have to work or the only place to work, but a place that they feel fulfilled in, that they can share their gifts that they've been blessed with.
Mama said I have to share. I said, Mama, that's not fair. She said, ask your daddy what you should do. I said, that's no good. He'll want some too. I got home from the candy store. Now the whole neighborhood's knocking at my door for jelly beans. I better hide my jelly beans. Jelly beans.
Let's rock the outside in. That is to say, the outside of the bean is up first on the tour of the candy making room. Welcome to the cutting department, also known as the roasting stage. This is where the magic happens. All those small drums you see below, the ones that look like miniature cement mixers, have a big job to do. Candy makers tumble 250 pounds of chewy, jelly-belly centers into spinning drums, having free foam full of syrups and sugar. The combination of alternating between these ingredients and all that tumbling builds up the outer soft shell of the jelly belly jelly bean, and most importantly, maintains that jelly belly signature taste. This is where the science of food meets the art of candy making. Candy makers can tell just by looking at the fluid batch as it spins in the pans what it needs next. Is it time to add more sugar? Is it ready for more syrup? Everything has to be timed just right, or won't it take the right shape? Or worse yet, it will all stick together. Well, quality, candy makers must have learned it will spend years, and in some cases decades, perfecting their craft. They check and recheck their handiwork until the shell is perfectly applied. And once the jelly beans have their flavorful outer shell, wouldn't you know it, they're 40% larger than when they started. How did they start? Just step ahead on your journey. I'll tell you all about it. At last, you've reached the beginning of the whole operation. It all starts here. This is where the center of a Jelly Belly jelly bean begins. You know what they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Our kitchen is pretty toasty, and there's a reason why it's so warm up there. Candy makers create what's called a slurry. It's a hot liquid candy mixture made of water, sugar, corn syrup, and cornstarch. Each Jelly Belly bean might start out with the same 4 ingredients, but each flavor is unique with its own special secret recipe. Large kettles are filled with the slurry before candy makers carefully and precisely add flavors and colors to bring each individual flavor to life. For example, peach puree is added right to the kettle of slurry here. Real ingredients like this are used whenever possible to flavor and color what will become the center of the bean. For example, we use real blueberry puree for blueberry, real coffee for cappuccino, and real chocolate for chocolate pudding. The list goes on, as you can see. In many cases, additional flavor and color are added to create the most accurate flavor possible. The slurry mixes together with all this flavor and color. Before it moves on to the next step, candy makers ensure consistency between batches by testing small samples on boards like this one. When it's all said and done, they will have crafted 400 pounds of slurry in one kettle. That's enough for 200,000 centers on 9 trips to the top of the Empire State Building. That's a lot of jelly beans.
Store now, the whole neighborhood's knocking at my door. Jelly beans, I better hide my jelly beans. 'Cause there's 100 kids from who knows where, looking through the window hoping I might share my jelly beans. I better hide my jelly beans. So many colors for me to choose: red, yellow, green, pink, and blue. Look so pretty, tastes so good.
Back when we were in the packaging department, you saw boxes of goodies ready to head out of the factory. All of those boxes end up here, in the shipping department. Let's take a look at the long journey a box takes to get here.
You share, well maybe they do, I wouldn't know, 'cause I get followed everywhere I go. If I open the bag, there's
This might look familiar. It probably looks just like what you saw back in the canning department, where we built up the outer shell of the jelly bean in these large metal drums. Well, after canning, the beans rest a bit more before they're brought here to the finishing department. This is where they get their glossy shine. The jelly beans still have a dusting of sugar from that canning process they experienced a few days ago. Now, candy makers tumble them in pans again. But this time they're adding syrups and food-grade glaze and wax. The combination of these ingredients and all that tumbling gives the bean their signature shiny look. It's a little like polishing rocks in a rock towel. And the noise is similar too. Make no mistake, it's loud in here. 380 pounds of jelly beans per pan are helped in the drying process by the attached blower. Once the beans are nice and shiny, workers unload them in trays of 25 pounds and stack them on carts. And then it's time once again to rest. The stacks of trays are wheeled into the area right behind you. Rows and rows of colorful jelly beans are a picturesque reminder of just how many different true-to-life flavors there are. When this entire area is filled, it can hold more than 200 million jelly beans. That's enough to stretch from right here in Fairfield to to our other factory in North Chicago, Illinois.
There's 100 kids from who knows where, looking through the window hoping I might share my jelly beans. I better hide my jelly beans. So many colors.
Just because we've made a jelly bean doesn't necessarily guarantee that we've made a Jelly Belly jelly bean. Only those of the proper flavor, color, shape, and size can move along on their journey to have their Jelly Belly name stamped on it. So when does a jelly bean become a real Jelly Belly jelly bean? Right about here is where it happens. Our robot friend down there has a lot of heavy lifting to do as it loads tray after tray of well-rested jelly beans into this very large metal drum. The beans tumble around a bit, and as they do, are moved toward the back of the drum. There, two specially devised screens await them. The first is sized so that any candy that's too small to be the perfect Jelly Belly jelly bean falls through. The second screen allows only the perfect sizes through. As the beans tumble, they either fall through one of the grates, or if they're too large to fit, they're kicked into a container at the back of the drum. Those pieces are still perfectly tasty, and will soon find their candy destiny fulfilled not as Jelly Belly beans, but rather as belly flops. You'll find them in the store after the tour, and they're one of our top sellers. Back to our Jelly Belly jelly beans, though. The right-sized beans are ready to receive their logo. They travel up to the top of the platform here on the bucket elevator before making their way to a belt. There's one more review for size, shape, and color, this time by the human eye and hand. A worker sits up top to survey the beans. Anything that doesn't live up to strict quality standards is sent back down to be a belly flop. You have to have a sharp eye and quick hands. With that quality check complete, Jelly Belly beans find their way to tubes that feed into the jelly bean printer. Grooves just the right size and shape to fit a jelly bean collect the beans as they feed in. A roller with white food coloring, similar to what makes marshmallows white, transfers the logo onto a sponge roller. The beans pass under the sponge roller and are likely kissed with that logo. It happens quickly, so watch closely. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's enough. This printer can print 20,000 logos per minute. Every Jelly Belly jelly bean, including those trickster Bean Boozled jelly beans, gets a logo. We even print on the white beans like coconut, orange vanilla, and cream soda. You just have to look really hard to see them. Remember, it's not a real Jelly Belly bean unless it has the logo.
The window hoping I might share my jelly beans. I better hide my jelly beans.
If you've ever opened a bag of Jelly Belly jelly beans and wondered how they all got mixed up in there, well, we're going to show you now. Individual flavors of Jelly Belly beans are loaded on this 100-foot-long conveyor. Workers dump each flavor by hand and push a corresponding button to check each flavor off the list. Once all the buttons are pushed, the fun begins. Beans travel through the conveyor system and fall into a spinning drum. All this tumbling mixes the delicious flavors together to form an assorted mix, be it 49 flavors, 30, 20, sours, bean boozled, tropical, you name it. This is how we mix up all your favorite collections. Each mix and package size has its own calculation and ratio of flavors needed to ensure you end up with as many different flavors as possible in your bag. After the beans are mixed, they're carted out by a bucket elevator and moved from there to weighers where they're deposited into weighted containers. This entire process is one long assembly line, with each step relying on the next. Workers here help keep things moving, and an ultrasonic level sensor in the drum keeps track of how full it is. When all the flavors are present and accounted for on the belt, and the ultrasonic sensor indicates the drum has room, the line can go. Otherwise, the line waits until everything is ready. Now, you may have noticed this already. You're back in packaging area, where you first began. That means your tour is almost at an end. But we still have a few secrets to share.
Daddy, what you should do? I said, that's no good. He'll want some too. I got home from the candy store. Now the whole neighborhood's knocking at my door for jelly beans.
And now it's time to brush up on your trivia so you can impress your friends with some of our secrets. You already know it takes 7 to 14 days to make a Jelly Belly bean. Wow, we can make 1,680 Jelly Belly jelly beans per second. That amounts to 15 billion Jelly Belly beans a year. That's billion, with a B. If you laid them all end to end, all those beans would wrap around Earth approximately 5 times. What's a Jelly Belly jelly bean's most popular time of year? Easter, of course. 5 billion Jelly Belly beans fill Easter baskets every year. That's a lot of berry cherry, buttered popcorn, and licorice, which happen to be the 3 most popular flavors in America. We've come a long way. We started with 8 flavors in 1976 and had 40 by 1982. Today, though, we have more than 100. And did you know there are instructions for eating each one of those 100+ flavors? That's right. We recommend savoring each flavor one at a time. If you want to combine them, just do it thoughtfully and try using one of our recipes like 1 lemon plus 1 cotton candy equals pink lemonade. 2 green apple plus 1 cinnamon equals apple pie. Or 2 blueberries plus 1 butter popcorn equals blueberry muffin. Our sample bar downstairs will be happy to help you in your flavor exploration. Speaking of exploring, bet you didn't know Jelly Belly beans are expert travelers. They're sold in more than 80 countries around the globe. They've even been to the White House. 3.5 tons of Jelly Belly jelly beans were delivered for Ronald Reagan's inauguration in 1981. And they've been to outer space, too. In 1983, President Reagan surprised the astronauts of the Space Shuttle Challenger with a gift of Jelly Belly jelly beans, making them the first jelly beans in space. So there you have it, our secrets revealed. Well, some of them anyway. I can't believe our time together is already over. We hope you enjoyed your tour of Jelly Belly today.
If I get 1 or 2 jelly beans, I better hide my jelly beans.